in this cock mask on my face. Hesitate to give me some. I'ma catch a murder case. On my clock in this cock mask on my face. Hesitate to give me some. I'ma catch a murder case.
In de lucht!
My God, what are you doing?
Me? Just hanging around.
You are fake news.
Now that's a lot of damage!
Friendly B-52 on the way.
In de lucht!
And we say bye-bye!
Fast as fuck, boy.
The situation is under control.
Cocaine in my nose, they got rosé in my cup, though. Started climbing my phone, she got me.
Enemy ship
They got rosé in my cup, though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in no cup, though.
Die!
Our team is about to win.
Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is BobLyn, aka PabLoon, and today we are back with another episode of Cruisers of Blitz. There are some people that have been waiting a long time for this ship, but today we are featuring the Gouden Leeuw, or the Golden Lion as some people call it, the tier 10 Dutch cruiser that features the special airstrikes. And this ship is not loved by many, but I have played this for I think over half a year now, and I definitely have found a love and a special place for it. So let's take a look at how this thing is equipped and what you get with this. You get some sonar, some defensive fire 2, and a precise aiming 1. And of course you get your airstrikes that are your bread and butter pretty much with this ship. They are really powerful if you can use them correctly, but they are also quite difficult to use. The ship has 42,000 HP, and it goes over 33 knots, which is not bad actually for a ship this size. You get 283mm guns, which is actually the same caliber as Scharnhorst, but they reload in under 12 seconds. The range is not the best, 12.27, and these guns are pretty good against battleships, cruisers, and aircraft carriers, but against DDs you are suffering. You do have your sonar, but that is it. You don't have torpedoes or secondaries. The AA is pretty decent, and you have these airstrikes like I said. There's 2 per ship, or you have 2 squadrons at your capacity. There are 8 bombers per squadron, and they reload in 64 seconds with just under 10 kilometers range. And these things have a 12% chance of setting fire. They deal a ton of damage, and they're super fun to use. I do take the elite gun operator. I have not played around with advanced engine, but I feel like the guns are pretty important on this ship if you want to get high damage. You do have to go for AP citadel hits and stuff like that. There are 2 camos for this ship. The historical camo that gives you torpedo damage reduction, and this special one that gives airstrike bomber HP. Now, that's all they change, and to be honest, I prefer the look of the historical one, and since DDs are something you need to hunt, I actually like the historical one. And it is hard to hunt DDs with this ship. For the equipment, I take a pretty standard BobLyn equipment setup, I think. We got reload, and I take that instead of dispersion because I actually like being able to shoot faster or over the airstrike modification. Your guns are your most important thing. You're not going to be using your bombs all the time. We take propulsion, and I also have detection in because I want to be able to escape. I want to be able to disengage and retreat and heal. And if we have an 8.5 surface detection, we are actually pretty close to be in our airstrike range. For the commander, I take underwater protection, battlefield support for extra sonar and DFA. I do take preheating because I want to be able to get close to an island, because that's where you want to sit and just shoot your guns and use your bombs. Air defense expert, survivalist, and fully prepared instead of the sniper side build I could go. I prefer being able to heal because the guns are not that bad dispersion wise. Exploit weakness is important, I think. Adrenaline rush. We take demo expert for higher chance of destroying modules, honor seeker, and APCS. And to round it off, once I get there, I will take citadel strike. So now we have the Gouden Leeuw equipped and ready to go. And let's take a look at the first game. So the first game is not my highest one. You're going to get that at the end, but it's still a pretty good game nonetheless. So the game you're watching here is played with Red Gaming Dino in the Druid, and unfortunately we did crash here in the beginning of the gameplay, but we are back here, and it is a CV game. We see that we are pretty late, and there's also already a Shimakaze in our base. Very, very sad thing to see once you come back into a battle, but I guess they needed me. So here we're going to see the effect of Gouden Leeuw against a DD. It's nice that we have the sonar because you do have a chance to dodge the torpedoes. It is a big ship, but it's pretty maneuverable. So you see me swap to HE immediately. AP is actually not bad at longer ranges, but once you get close at these ranges, you need to use your HE. Notice how I'm trailing him with my bow, making sure that I'm kind of inside, of his torpedo cone as, non-parallel as possible, so we're not showing any broadside. And he doesn't have any torpedoes anymore, so he is a free kill. But he did get our CV. Notice we shot 10 planes down. This thing actually has decent AA. If you find yourself against the Nakhimov, you will have no trouble eating all his planes. Same with Haku and Manfred. This is a Manfred, and you can see even without the DFA, we're still able to shoot down some planes. But using the skill is where your AA actually becomes good and has a chance to stop something. Midway, Malta, stuff like that, you're not going to be stopping too much of. You're going to be shooting them down, but it's not going to be prevented. So this game is pretty interesting. We see that Red is all the way up on the other flank, and he's trying to put some pressure on my team, on the enemy team. But we also have these DDs who are just being insane right now. Gearing takes out the GK as well. So now I'm like, okay, this is the worst that could happen, because this is one of the biggest critiques of this ship. It is not able to deal with DDs sufficiently, and I have to agree. You generally want to avoid DD encounters with this ship and take him at longer ranges. Actually, I do advise people to use your airstrikes. For example, if you're playing center control, and you know the map where there is, I think it's Golden Channel, where there is an island in the middle where DDs like to sit behind. Well, if you use your airstrikes on them, if they don't move, they're going to take damage. And if they notice it, they're definitely going to move, and you can get free shots on them. So there's other ways to use these airstrikes, and they are quite funny to use against DDs. And I've gotten many destroyer kills with these bombs when they don't expect it. So we see that the Gearing is still alive, but he is being dealt with by this DD out here, one of our DDs. So I pushed the enemy team here, and I see that the CV is being destroyed by red over here in the Druid. So we take our advantage here and help push, because what the Gouden Leeuw is really good at, and I showed that in my montage, is taking care of big targets like battleships. So where Gouden Leeuw differs quite a lot from other cruisers in its tier is that they like to go for DDs and other cruisers or light cruisers. Well, this thing likes to go for heavily armored targets, such as this Colombo. But Colombo isn't really that heavily armored. That's why they are really good targets for this ship, and we easily take him out with our 2 airstrikes. And it is super important that you use these airstrikes as much as you can. Of course, you shouldn't waste them, because they are quite powerful and they can provide spotting at the same time. You do have to use them to make yourself useful, because without your airstrikes you are pretty much nothing. This ship doesn't have much to offer. The guns, yes, they are big caliber, but they're not 305s. They're still 283mm, which isn't actually that big for tier 10. I mean, Puerto Rico has bigger guns, Marseille has bigger guns, Yoshino has bigger guns, Stalingrad, there's a ton of ships that outperform the gun category here, but that's why you gotta use your bombs. Now there is another trick that you can use with these bombs, and it is using HE on your main guns and trying to get a fire with, you know, your guns, and then see if they damage control that, because then you can use all your bomb strikes on one target. But when you see me playing this ship, I will most of the time be using AP. After I've gotten APCS with the commander I'm using, getting citadels and full pens have actually been pretty easy, and Yamatos are a good target as well. So there's 32 seconds for our bombs, but he is not on he doesn't have a DCP running, so, or at least I'm hoping. He might be holding it and, you know, waiting for my next airstrike, but the fact that he just ate that full fire is good for me. We took out one of his guns, and you see that we're still pretty healthy. I'm going full broadside here, but I need all my guns on target, and I can't turn in quite yet because there's a Gearing. Now we see that the Gearing is smoking up, so we're gonna probably activate our sonar in just a second here, and I'm just waiting and stalling for my airstrike. Airstrikes are how you deal with ships like Yamato at these ranges or in these HP pools. Like, he was pretty tanky when we first saw him, but notice the bombs here, guys. Notice the bombs and how we stall for time. It is super important. This man just took 11 bombs, and he is, well, pretty low right now. It's probably two salvos more for me, and then he's gone. My team is able to take out the Jinan, and if I can save this base, well, then I think we've won the game. Now, you remember I said DDs were hard to deal with? Well, not at these ranges. Where this Gearing is at is actually a pretty good range for me. And we're going to be able to kill Yamato here, surviving the hits, luckily, and now it's just this Gearing left. We luckily do have a DD who's pushing in, and the timer is running out. But just see this dispersion right here, and notice the full pins we get on him. I mean, it's at this range, it ain't bad. That's all I'm saying. So, stuff to take away from this game is, you are a battleship hunter. You are not a DD hunter like most cruisers. If you want to take DD engagements, do it at long range. That is one of the most important things with this ship. It does definitely need some secondaries. It would be lovely to have, because just a tiny bit of extra DPM at close ranges could really help this ship, and it might be able to become a more interesting ship for some people. Alright guys, here we go, and this is the big damage gameplay. This is 154,000 damage in the Gouden Leeuw, and this is my best gameplay, and The biggest irony and sadness of it all is I forgot to turn off my music when I was playing, so I couldn't use this clip's sound because, well, I was listening to something that was copyrighted, and I don't think Warner Brothers would like that I use their music. So anyways, I turned off the music and I decided to go Keihen style. If you know Keihen, he's done one of my videos on the Groningen World Record. And what he does is he removes all sound from the game, and then he uses World of Warship's PC sound, and he is much better at this than I am, trust me. I don't know where he finds all these sound clips, but he has all the authentic sounds, and I had to dig my ass off just to find this. So it's not as detailed and as good, and if you like, watching immersive gameplay, I urge you to check out his channel. The link is in the description, and thank you, bro, for letting me get the airstrike sound clips. That's what I was asking him to help me with, and well, I got him. So it is somewhat authentic, this gameplay, and yeah, that's the best I could do. I am not very good at this, but it was interesting challenge, nice to try and see how much effort it actually is for KKM to do these videos. It is insane the amount of sound clips you have to put in just for the hit effect and the shooting effect. That's a couple clips by itself. But anyways, enough of that. I wanted to give a shout out to him because he helped me greatly, and I really appreciate it. So, like I said in the last game and the commentary, you wanna get close to an island. And you see me doing this right now. This is why I have preheating, so I can accelerate and get over to an island quickly. This Moskva here, he both got hit by bombs and by our guns, and I mean, he's pretty low already. So, by using the island, we're staying clear of the BBs and shots, and we can kind of stay alive in that regard. So we're taking some hits from this Columbo over here, but you see he's shooting sap, and honestly I'm not too afraid of a sap Columbo at this range. It didn't take too much damage, and he has a 30-second reload, so we're just gonna push on with our team here. Now currently it's looking a little bit bad for us. We've lost one of our cruisers, and we have to take out this Moskva right now. And this is where the Gouden Leeuw guns actually don't do that bad. I mean, they're not better than Moskva, no. They are bigger caliber, but they're not as precise, and don't have as good pen, but they're still fine. And if you don't use your AP on this ship, you're not going to be doing that much damage. I see a lot of Gouden Leeuw use HE to get that consistent alpha damage and the fires, and the only time I'll say shoot HE is either if you're very close to a DD, sub 5-6 kilometers, that range, or if you're far away from a battleship who have damage control and you don't have any bombs to use, or you're not in range. Your AP is very sufficient, and you're going to see this Slava here sitting full broadside, that we can easily get citadels on this guy. Currently, we're just slowly creeping ahead, making sure we're not the main focus, and, well, we are now. The Slava noticed us. He probably didn't like that hit we gave him, and we're just going to scoot away, send our bombers off, and, well, this guy took a massive hit from torpedoes, so we're just going to leave him alone, and he is going to go down to Klistakal here. So the bombs and Klistakal Vermont hit, yeah, Slava is down, and we're going to be turning back because we see that the enemy team is very strong over here, and I need to regain some health, get my airstrikes off a cooldown, because they are pretty important for these heavy BB compositions. You can see we have 1 battleship and they have 3 battleships. So we really need to make a dent in the enemy's armor to make a serious impact in this game. So I'm moving into the middle here. Moskva finally goes down to our CV, and now we can kind of push these battleships. There's 2 Columbos right there behind this island, and Columbo is, like I said, not a hard target to deal with. Currently I'm just using the island here in between me and the Columbo to kind of mask my approach. I mean, he knows I'm coming. There's also a CV to spot me, but I'm just gonna keep up this AP barrage from these Scharnhorst calibers, and we get some full pens in between there. It's not as consistent, like I said, as a Moskva, but please do not neglect your guns. Together with the bombs, these guns could deal a ton of damage, and we just destroyed that Columbo. 10 bombs and 3 hits. Doesn't sound like much, but trust me, it is a lot. We still have another one coming, and I'm just waiting to see where this guy's going. He doesn't have a damage control now, because we got a double fire, and he's not lit on fire. So if I get a fire with this, it's a perma, and notice he's half HP. After the bombs and one shot from me, he is, well, decently low. We didn't get a fire, but I would say that's pretty good. Now with the CV coming in, he is, I mean, kind of toast. We're gonna use our precise aim, and again he's using sap, so I really don't feel threatened. Same with the other Columbo. I mean, they do some damage, right? I'm taking damage here, but it's not something that I'm feeling threatened by. Columbo manages to get away, and I'm gonna scoot over to my friend here, Klistakal, and help him with this Kremlin who's reversing in. This is a perfect target for a Gouden Leeuw. Again, there's an island between us. The Kremlin is reversing, so he's not gonna be able to just get out of that bomb reticle, you know, quickly. And we can shoot him with our AP. Look at the damage we just took on that Kremlin. He got completely annihilated. And I just have to wait 40 seconds for my next bomb drop. So he's gonna take out my teammate. We get a citadel on him, and I can just preach on and on about the AP is pretty darn good on these guns. So to summarize how to play this ship effectively, use islands as cover. Provide AA fire support if you can. You have good AA, and that's why using an island is pretty nice, because you can sit there, especially on Hourglass or maps like this, where you can be a buffer to the BBs from the enemy CB strikes. Use your airstrikes as much as possible and go for battleships. If you see a DD or a cruiser who is stricken and you see a chance to maybe carpet bomb them and get the kill, do that. Do not neglect your bombers on smaller targets either, but your main priority is big targets with a lot of HP. You want to use fires to your advantage here, but don't rely on fires from HE. Rely on your fires from the bombs and trust in the bombs to do the work. The alpha damage from these guys is enough in my opinion. Even without a fire, it still deals a good amount of damage to these battleships. And last but not least, stay away from DDs as much as possible and use the range advantage you have to deal with them, because the AP at longer ranges is actually quite effective. So that's kind of like the how-to guide on playing this ship. It does need some buffs, that's for sure. It needs secondaries, if you ask me. If they gave this manual secondaries and autos, it would honestly become a pretty effective ship. That is all it needs in my opinion. You get precise aim, you get sonar, you get good AA, and you do actually have a decent concealment when you run the concealment build. It could also use some more range, but if you gave it secondaries, I wouldn't mind having the range we have already. 154k, we completely carried that game, and it just goes to show that Gouden Leeuw is not a bad ship at all. It is just not played much, and people haven't given this ship a chance. I thought it was going to be bad when I started playing it, but I can say right now that I really enjoy this ship, and it's actually been quite fun to play it for this series. So here we are at the end of the episode, and I want to say thank you guys for watching, and thank you to the 3 or 4 people who've been asking for this ship forever. You know who you are. I think it's Nautilus Padilla. Anyways, I thank you for your patience. It's finally out, and I hope you guys learned something. It is still a very good ship, even though people talk trash about it. Not better than most ships in this game, but trust me, it's not as bad as people say. My name is BobLyn, aka PabLoon, and I am signing out.